Taxes, small businesses, and jobs. For the next few minutes, we'll update you on some of the hottest topics in Congress. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Robert Trainum. Joining me is Representative Sam Graves, Republican from Missouri and Chairman of the House Small Business Committee. Congressman, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, on everyone's minds is obviously the economy, and I want to focus first and foremost on the President's Jobs Act. He implemented this national conversation, if you will, about jobs and about the 9.1 unemployment rate. He introduced this into Congress. Is it dead on arrival?
For the most part, yes. There are aspects of it that are good, but the majority of it is just more spending, and that's the last thing we need right now with the economy the way it is and the amount of spending that's taken place over the last few years.
So what is the Republican alternative?
Well, what we've produced, and we've had about 15 jobs bills so far, but they basically focus on lowering taxes for businesses down to 25%, reducing the regulatory burden that's out there, particularly a lot of the regulation that's been passed through executive order, and then trying to pass the free trade agreements, which we have gotten done in the House too, which are going to be a huge help to small business. So we're trying to get the government out of the way for small businesses to be able to grow and prosper rather than saddling them with more spending that somebody's going to have to pay for.
Congressman, as I mentioned a few moments ago, you're the chairman of the Small Business Committee. Tell us what the open mic program is all about, especially for the small business owners out there or people that may be working for a small business. They're probably scratching their head and saying, well, what is this?
Well, we're pretty proud of it. And basically what it allows small businesses to do is to interact directly with the Small Business Committee, and when we're looking for hearing topics, for instance, or ideas or thoughts, concerns, anything, criticisms that are out there when it comes to the government and how they deal with small businesses and how small businesses deal with the government. But we had 1,000 responses in our very first week, and it's continued to grow, and we're pretty proud of it, and it's given them that chance to reach in.
So it sounds like it's a communications vehicle for the average American out there who obviously is a small business owner to communicate directly with you and your constituents. Yes. But hypothetically, let's say you get a good idea. Let's say a small business owner says, you know what, this is how I can make better widgets if in fact the federal government was to eliminate this or to implement this. What do you do with that idea? Well,
we take that idea and if it's an idea that obviously is getting other responses too, we'll try to turn that into a hearing and investigate it and look into it further and see if what we can do to try to foster that environment that helps them to make more of whatever it is that they're trying to do.
Congressman, a while back, you and your colleagues passed a 3% withholding tax. I think a lot of people may have read about this, but they may not understand exactly what it does. Explain to our viewers what this means.
Well, what we're trying to do is repeal the 3% withholding tax. And what it did was, this was passed some time ago, and in fact, since it was implemented, Congress has continued to put off the implementation of it because it's such a bad idea. It makes contractors withhold 3% whenever they purchase goods, services, whatever the case may be. And it's the IRS. What they're trying to do is collect on taxes that they think that they are owed or possibly owed. Instead of just enforcing the tax law the way it is, they're collecting 3% from every contractor out there, and it's really putting a strain on a lot of contractors and small businesses because they may not have a margin big enough to even cover the 3% the government's wanting to withhold.
Mr. Chairman, I think a lot of your constituents that are watching this program right now back in Missouri are probably saying, this all sounds great, but I need a job now. I need a good quality paying job now, or I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my job. What can you and the Republicans do to help me now? Because I understand what the president's trying to do with his jobs bill. I understand what the president's trying to do with his executive orders. So, and I may not agree with it or disagree with it, but I understand where he's going. But I've yet to figure out what the Republicans are doing in terms of helping the economy.
Well, again, what we're trying to do is reduce that regulatory burden. That's one of the first things, because a lot of small businesses come before the committee and they'll say, look, we're not going to hire anybody until we know what these regulations are going to cost us. We're not going to do anything until we know what health care is ultimately going to cost us. We're not going to do anything until we know what the tax law is going to be.
So everyone's in a holding pattern right now.
Everyone's in a holding pattern. And the fact of the matter is, if there is going to be a sector of the economy that's going to lead us out of this economic downturn, it's going to be small businesses, because they account for 7 out of every 10 jobs in this country. And small businesses are the leaders, and if they're not hiring, nobody's hiring.
Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate it. And of course, thank you for joining us for this edition of Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Robert Trainum. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next time. Take care.